everybody, and welcome to day 3 of Pivot Forward. I'm Mykie, the CEO and co-founder of Voss Coaching Co. So happy to be welcoming you back to day 3. Now, if you've been with us all week, welcome back. If you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome. You're in the right place at the right time. And buckle up, because today is my favorite lesson of the entire week, and soon you're going to find out why. Before we get into today's lesson, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items, and then we'll get right to it. First is I have so many emails asking, is there going to be a replay? And I am going to address this every single day. Yes, there is a replay for the entire week, and you'll have access to it until next Friday when the replays are going to come down. And if you were having trouble accessing the replay yesterday through Zoom, we've actually created a new replay page outside of Zoom on our website, and that is what we will be emailing out today. So keep an eye on your inbox. After today's lesson, we will send you an email with the replay link, and you should not have any trouble with it. It's on our website, and really looking forward to giving you all that. Now, for the next 90 minutes, I want everybody to put aside all distractions, turn your phone upside down, maybe put it on airplane mode, as long as you're not watching this on your phone. Close out all your other browsers. Remove yourself from any distractions that you may have. Pull out a pen and a piece of paper and spend the next 90 minutes investing in yourself. You are going to be so glad you did, and you're really going to be rewarded for it. Now, I want to bring on the man of the hour, Arash Vossoughi, with me. Arash, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I am doing good. You know, it's only Wednesday, the very beginning of day 3, and we have already covered some serious ground in Pivot Forward. If you think about it, we have gone through programming, philosophy, vision, goals, standard. So that's quite a bit of content. And what I want to know is, before we get into the lesson today, which is going to be on identity and attitude, what should everybody know? What should they know for sure from days 1 and 2, jumping into day 3?
Well, every day builds on the next day, and they're all so important. You know, we've had clients who've gone through our events, and the deeper they've gone, all of a sudden the results started happening. So I'm giving you everything that I deconstructed over the last 17 years that I implemented from my own practice and from my great mentors. You know, I think mentors are so important. I always brag about my mentor because I think I had the most amazing mentor in the world. So I will forever give him credit because I'll never forget it. He said, I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do. People ask me all the time, what is the greatest lesson that Bob ever taught you? I get this question all the time. And I have, depending on where my mind is, different answers because I had so many lessons. But the biggest lesson I ever got was before I started the mentorship with him. And he said, you can have anything you want, but you have to do exactly what I tell you to do. That was the greatest lesson he ever taught me. And I say that because there's a lot of people who are going to do this work. Then there's others that are going to talk about it. You know, I don't want you to be one of the ones that talk about it. I want you to implement it, because you're going to be rewarded so greatly. Don't make the mistake I made my first 3 years before I met my mentor, where I knew about it. And you'll know by the type of decisions you make on a daily basis. Are you getting out of your comfort zone? Because the magic lies in the work you're avoiding. I know when someone is not going to do it. I can tell you this, when they say, I already know this. And whenever I hear that, I already know their ego's in the way. They're not letting the results show them what they really know. So you know, we want to always be a beginner. Every master sees himself as a beginner. Like, I see myself as a beginner every day because I know I can get better. And I know everybody, every one of us can do so much better than we're doing right now.
Arash, years after that lesson that you just spoke about, where Bob said, do exactly what I say and you're going to get the results, you had a realization that you had to be coachable, not up to your comfort zone, but beyond your comfort zone to get the results. Will you talk about that? Because it's so important, especially going into today.
Well, I didn't realize it for a number of years. I remember one day I called Bob and I said, I know what I did. And he said, well, what is it? I said, everybody thinks they're coachable, but they're coachable up until their comfort zone. I said, the reason I changed is I accepted every idea you gave me and I just did it. I just implemented it. And he said, I'll never forget what he said. He said, holy shit, you're right. And he said, I never even thought of it like that. But that's the truth. He said, most people will do what's comfortable. Like most people don't know how to study. They think they're studying. There is no such thing as studying without action. Mm-hmm. And most people will sit around, they'll study this philosophy, but they will never put it into action. That's not studying. That's gathering information. And so we want to, true studying is you get a concept and you make it part of your identity. And you don't work on 1,000 concepts at once. And like, if you look at what we're teaching, they all are so closely connected. They all work off each other. But if you don't have one, you lose the combination. And, what we talked about yesterday, I'm forever talking about the importance of standard and goals. Because if you look at anybody who creates success, and there's a lot of recipes you can get there. Some could work really hard. Some could be working very little, but are completely detached. But the one commonality, if you'll talk to anybody, the standard is the standard that is the standard. They never will accept lesser goals. So if we think about our goals from yesterday, we are kept from our goals, not because of the obstacles we have, it's because we shrink to accepting lesser goals. Let me do this. This will feel easier. This will feel easier. So we have to know exactly what we want, and we make a standard that we do not settle for anything less. That's the starting point. That is what is going to take you off to the races and what's going to create little wins that create big wins.
Arash, I love that you just brought up the word recipe, because whenever you're following a recipe, when you're making a cake, you wouldn't just skip out on the flour or the sugar or one of the ingredients and think, oh, you know what, it's still going to turn out just great. Well, when you went to put together this event, you were very specific about the concepts that you included in the event to create the outcome of helping those who are attending the event create a massive breakthrough in their life. Why is each concept important in the recipe?
Well, if you look at everything we're doing is inside out. When you're building a cake, you don't build it from the outside in. If you look at a house being built, the first thing they do is put up the foundation. The foundation for us is the inside. The foundation really is the power of 5. It's the decisions, the disciplines, the standards, the attitudes, and the identity. And so everything's an inside out game. Yet, why are we so obsessed with the outside world? We are so obsessed. I was talking to a client yesterday, and we were talking, they listened to our podcast this week on Act As If. And she said, I absolutely love it. She said, what's holding me back is, what if it doesn't work? And I said, so you're acting as if. And I said, isn't it interesting? We can act as if towards worst case scenario really well. Like we can get a master's in acting as if towards what we don't want. We've got to shift it. See, what we're doing in this present moment is creating our future life. It's creating our future results. And we want to really start understanding, by law, everything works. And everything comes from the inside to the outside. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience, yet we're also physical. I used to be so physical. When my life changed, I started thinking much more on the 5th dimension, where I was living inside out. And I detached from my 5 senses, and I was living from my higher faculties, the dominant part of my day. And that's what's happened ever since. I think Florence Scovel has one of the best definitions on faith. She says, faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. I think it is one of my favorite quotes on faith. And that's what we want to operate from. Too many people are wanting big results, but playing small. And I'm forever saying this, that people want the results of the top 1 to 3%, but they're not willing to put in the work the top 1 to 3% put in every day.
Yep. Arash, I think that's the perfect place for us to stop and you to get into today's lesson.
All right, awesome. So let me share my screen and then we can get started. All right. So today we're going to work on attitude and identity. Identity is so important, but you can't have a great identity without a tremendous attitude. Today, we are going to build a new model of your future self. I want, when you leave here today, that you are aligning with and thinking from your future self in the present moment with everything you do. That's my goal for all of you today. Now, creating success is literally, I told you this on day one, it is a tug of war between your old self and your future self. And it's a tug of war between your mind and your heart. Are you going to let your analytical mind get in the way? Or are you going to live from your heart? Your heart is your power source. It is a tug of war between your fears. Are you going to give into the fears? Are you going to accept lesser goals? Are you going to do what I suggested and step into your dream where you don't settle for anything less? If your fears win, you're going to lose. So we want to start understanding this. I want every day this to be a part of your philosophy. Decide every day when you wake up that this is going to be the very best day of your life. And if you do it, it will change the game. You know, I'm laughing at this. I was talking to a client yesterday and we had our one-on-one coaching call and I said, how's everything going? She goes, it's going good. And I said, let's start over. We are going to start this call again. I said, I want this to be the best 45 minutes of your week. And I said, if you just say it's good, what do you think you're putting out in the universe? See, we've got to make real, definite convictions in what we're doing. And when we do that, we're speaking it into existence. But let's give you 4 key components today of creating a massive quantum leap. Number 1, you have to have an authentic, sincere desire for inner change. And you have to choose in to creating a quantum leap. You have to have workable principles. I'm giving you workable principles all week. And I told you yesterday, we want to make part of your standard honesty. True success requires brutal honesty of self. And the 4th is we want to build that persistence. Persistence is a muscle that you want to develop. You want to have such great grit that you are going to see an obstacle. You don't even look at it as an obstacle. You look at the solution right away. Now, the mountain between where you are and where you want to go is you. It's not in the outside world. It's how you control your mind. This mountain, I want you to look at it. Your obstacle is always going to be you. And once we overcome the old you and create your future self, you're going to step into a world you've never even thought was possible. I say that because everything that I've created, it's been more magical than even I could write it out. It is going to be so fabulous for you once you overcome you. But remember, the process of growth, the work isn't overcoming the old you. The work is getting out of your comfort zone. The work is becoming who you want to be. I talk about decision all the time. Decision isn't just, I'm going to decide that I'm going to invest in something. Decision every day is who I'm going to become. Right now, where you are is exactly who you've decided to become. And you could sit there and say, no, that's not true. I promise you it is. Because nothing happens without you. Everything comes from you, not to you. So we've got to understand what freedom requires. It requires you to peel away any fear and attachment you have. What are some fears and attachment? Can I do this? I've never done it before. What are they going to think of me? Like, I want you to really look at it. What are the fears and attachments you're holding on to in your old story? And we want to really understand this. Stop protecting yourself from who you want to be. Stop playing it safe. Stop being a watcher in your life. Be a player. Go all in with yourself. And when you stop protecting yourself, you're going to allow your spirit to go out. That's how you enter in the spirit of the person you want to become. Now, I want to ask you this, and I'm talking directly to you. Forget about everybody else on this call. I'm only speaking to you. What am I protecting myself from? What am I holding on to? How wise would it be if I just let go and went all in? I want you to ask yourself that. I really want you to stop protecting yourself. You are stopping yourself from massive life that is right in front of you. Now, I will tell you this, when you let go, the universe desires you to have everything you want to have, but until you let go, you're not going to have it. You are not going to have it. You are playing in a box and you're never going out of that box. So understand this, the universe is friendly. It wants you to have what you want to have, but you have to get out of the way. Now, when we're talking about this lesson, it's about you. The mountain just isn't you. This life is about you. You're with yourself all day long. And that's why I said we've got to have these 4 rules that every day I'm going to conquer myself. Do I have a goal that inspires me? Number 2, I am not allowing outside conditions or circumstances to control me. And I'm going to listen to myself to understand. I'm going to be aware of any lack and limitation that comes out of my mouth. I'm going to be aware of any double binding message. See, when you master you, you're going to allow your spiritual DNA to come out. Now, let's look at this. This is such an important concept to get on an emotional level, not on an intellectual level. Your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. There's nothing inside of you that I have to give you that you don't have. I have to bring it out of you. It is all knowing. That you have access to all the knowledge in the world. It is all powerful. You have so many reservoirs inside of you that are dying to come out. And you'll hear stories all the time. I was sharing it at my World Class Wealth event. I was in Mexico on vacation in Punta Mita. And I was reading this story of this mechanic who the car fell on him. And his 75-year-old mother picked up the car. And they did an interview and they asked her, how did you do it? She goes, I don't even know. But you hear these stories all the time because when we need the power, we don't think. We go to our heart and we just really go into fight or flight mode. See, you have so much power inside of you that is not being used right now. Well, you're not going to use it if you don't know who you are. And we want to become more and more aware every day that our spiritual DNA is perfect. It is ever present. It is everywhere. I have people on this training this week from all over the world. It is just as much with my good friend Cordula in Switzerland as it is in the US. And it is the real you. Now, ask yourself, am I truly what and who I pretend to be? Now, I will tell you, if you're not making it happen, you don't understand this. And I always give my clients who always ask me about identity, and I say, this is a great identity statement. I am so happy and grateful now that I am becoming more and more aware that my spiritual DNA is perfect. I am all knowing. I am all powerful. It is always with me and it is the real me. And I am creating an amazing life. I said, that is a statement you get inside of you that is going to just take your identity to a whole new level. And understand, this is every one of us. Infinite is inside of you. Infinite cannot lose. But on top of our spiritual DNA being perfect, go to day 1. It's your virus code on top of it. There's no room for the universe to draw to you if you see yourself small. You've got to remove that virus code and allow the energy to flow in and through you. So we want to really understand this. And I want you to fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself. I want you to fall in love with yourself. When you fall in love with yourself, your life will become more and more magical. Now ask yourself this, do I really love me? Could I look in the mirror and say, I love myself? I can tell you 17 years ago, I would look down. I would look away. I knew I had to change my identity. And if anyone is like I was 17 years ago, understand you can change that. And understand, until you change it, you're going to play small. Until you believe in you, it's not going to happen. Fall in love with the process of achieving your goals. Fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Fall in love with the setbacks. Fall in love with the successes. Fall in love with the new relationships. Fall in love with everything. And now you're going to be coming from a neutral standpoint. Now, The goal always drives everything, and it's going to drive your future self. It's going to drive how you live. That's why I keep putting this slide every single day, because I want the goal so big in your mind that you have enough reasons that you will never choose out of the goal. When the goal is so big, any circumstance will never have power over you. If the goal is not mixed with a big why, it's going to be easy to drift. If it's not mixed with discipline, it's going to drift away. So make the goal so big in your mind. But this is a truth that I talked about yesterday. You must have unwavering belief in yourself. Until you believe in you, no one's going to believe in you. Our job is to believe in ourselves. Well, how do you believe in yourself? You start building a new identity. You start seeing yourself with who you really are. You start understanding my spiritual DNA is perfect. You do the every 3 hours of auto-suggesting your want until it becomes a belief. Now, I've already given you guys a lot of processes. I'm so process driven. I believe in processes so much because if somebody knows the right processes to do, they create mastery. But in order to believe in ourselves, we have to choose courage over comfort. Growth and comfort can never coexist. So you have to choose to bet on yourself. Now, let's get into identity. God, I love identity. Like I always say, if I was starting 17 years ago and I was starting from square one, the first thing I would have studied for a year would be identity. Identity is an inside job. Your results will always reflect your identity. It doesn't sometimes reflect it. It always reflects your identity. So if you want to know where your identities are right now, look at what your commitments are. Just observe your commitments. They will tell you your identity. If you want to observe your identity, look at your behaviors. They will show you your identity. They always tell us the identity. Your results always follow what you're most committed to. And we want to understand you can recreate yourself through changing your self-image to that of the person you really want to be. But you have to really want to change. You know, people come to me and they say, people don't want to be changed. People want to change. They just don't want people telling them they need to change. See, you can have everything you want to have and do the things you want to do once you commit at an all-in level to change your identity. Now, let's ask ourselves, do you see yourself as a star? I want you to honestly think about this. Do you see yourself as a star? I'll tell you a story. This was years ago. It was my first year in this industry. And my mentor and I were on a call. He said to me, he said, Arash, do you see yourself as the best at what you do? And I said, no. I said, I have a year of experience. Look at the old program came in. I started rationalizing. I said, I had a year of experience. And I said, I'm getting to become one of the best. He said, from this moment, I want you to see yourself better than me. He said, the reason I'm the best is because I know I'm the best. He said, I want you to be better than me. And he said, in that moment, I accepted that idea. And I just started seeing myself much bigger. And sometimes when in the growth process, at least for me, he gave me permission to see myself bigger. I've always been humble and I've always been hungry, but I think that conversation, you know how we were talking about paradigms, you could change it two ways. You could change it through spaced repetition and elite level coaching or an emotional impact. That was an emotional impact that I implemented that just changed the game for me. So I want you to see yourself as a star right now. I don't care what your results are. I don't care if you're shrinking. I don't care if you are winning big. I don't care where you are. Your job is, and your responsibility is how you think, because we become what we think about. I want you to start seeing yourself as a star. Now, how do we do that? We build an enormous picture of ourselves. You get out a piece of paper and you write exactly the person you want to become. And I want it to be enormous. If I have a picture of myself this big, I can only attract what's in this space. If I have it this big, I'll attract here. I want your picture to be so big, just like I want your goal to be big. We can't achieve a goal if we don't have the identity to match that goal, because our identity We can never outperform. You got to burn this and brain tattoo this idea in your mind. We can never outperform it, but we can change it. Build an enormous identity. Write it out in the present tense exactly how you want it to be and record it. Listen to it 10 minutes a day. Focus every day on building the identity of the person you want to become, and you will become a peak performer. Now, the magic is in how you see yourself. Why am I saying this from the start? The identity does not change unless you start changing the perception of how you see yourself. I want you to look at this. You have to shape your perception. It's one of our higher faculties into the perception of who you really want to be. How you form the picture of yourself is what your body accepts. And ask yourself, am I infecting myself or am I empowering myself with my picture? Am I seeing myself based on past failures? Am I living in the past, or am I seeing myself as the star that I truly am? Now, when we look at this, to build this and see yourself as a star, you've got to understand this quote from Neville. We are only limited to weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. Now, most people are operating with such little attention. They are constantly invested in distracted time instead of focused time. And it takes 1 hour a day to literally reshape your life. 1 hour a day times it by 26 weeks, times it by 52 weeks, you're going to change your life. If you give yourself that 1 hour and create an amazing morning routine. You know, morning routine will change your identity quicker than anything. Like, people will ask me about morning routines because I'm obsessed with them. And I'm always shifting mine around so I don't get used to it. But how you start your day is how you're going to build your identity, how you're going to finish your day. To me, the morning routine is me valuing myself, saying, I care about me and I'm building myself up. But we've got to shift this quote around to have great attention and an abundance in our imagination. Why abundance? If you see yourself big, I promise you, the outside world is going to start shaping it exactly how you see it. Your subconscious mind will only allow you to have what you feel you deserve. Right now, every single one of us in our life, we are getting exactly what we feel we deserve. No more, no less. And this is exactly what you want. Earl Nightingale said this. He said, this is a hard truth. Where everybody is in the world right now, whether they want to hear it or not, is exactly where they want to be. Because that's what you've committed to. That's where your all in has been. So we want to build such worthiness inside of us, and the outside will reshape it. This is the law. This is the law of your mind. All change in life begins with your self-image and takes place through changes in your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts. Look at your environment. Who do you surround yourself with? Do you have great mentors in your life? Are you a part of a mastermind group? Or are you doing this on your own? Look at the actions you're taking. Do the actions reflect the actions of your future self? And we want to really take a good look at this. Now, look at your results. Your current results are based on your current identity. They're based on what your identity has been in the past until this moment. Literally today, you're a heartbeat away of making a decision to change your identity. I am no longer living like this. I am going to embrace getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to create massive results. The results always tell the truth. They don't sometimes tell the truth. They always tell the truth. Now, there is another version of you that's dying to come out. When I tell you there is another self when you go big, that you're going to find this other self that was always there. That's your future self. It is dying to express itself. Our job is to let it out. How do we let it out? We make definite decisions. We have all-in commitments. We surround ourselves with the right environment. And our job is to let that person come out and go big. Now, your soul hates being boxed in. Do you notice anytime like you're just really rigid, you feel stuck, and you want something bigger? That's your soul talking to you, saying, come on, there's more for us to do. Your soul wants peace of mind. It hates being boxed in. Unlock your potential. Unlock your potential by the choices you make. There is nothing that we have greater in our ability than we get to choose what we think about. If you look at the word choice, that is the greatest power you have. You could choose whatever you want, unlock your potential. But you can't talk about identity without language. Today's self-talk equals tomorrow's facts. And I want you to understand, change is always linguistic. What you say determines what you're creating in your life right now. What you say determines it. I love this quote from The Magic of Thinking Big. You're either speaking castles into existence or you're speaking into a grave. And there's nothing more accurate than that. Most people's language is on problems. Most people's language is dictated by the present results. Whatever you say yes to is what you're becoming. I am building a bigger image. But understand this, today's self-talk equals tomorrow's facts. If I spent 24 hours with you, if we just hung out for 24 hours, I'd know the language you're speaking. I would know it right away. And I will tell you where your future self is, what you're creating for your future self just by your language. That's why on day one, I said, you've got to get so good at forming and reshaping your language from your future self. Would my future self say yes to this? Then I say yes. Would my future self say no to this? Then I say no. If you keep doing what you've done in the past and you do not reshape your language, you're not going to change your results. Now, let's look at your story. What are the stories that you have in your life? What is a story about you? Your story creates your identity creates your results. But your story determines how you use your potential. You have unlimited amount of potential. There's no limit to where you can go beyond the limit in your mind. We want to start transforming the story. And I want you to ask yourself, this is life. It's a book. This is our book. And ask yourself, is my old story still controlling me? All you have to do is look where your attention is. Has my attention been on the past? Has my attention been on reacting? Has my attention been on, I've never done it before? Look at what is controlling you. I want you to build a kick-ass story. I want you to narrate the story in the present tense from your future self, exactly how you're going to live by the end of the year. I want you to really spend time writing it out exactly how you want your story to look. When you write it out, you're literally speaking it into existence. And writing is so powerful. Writing creates feelings. Feelings create actions. Actions create results. But understand this, your behaviors always follow your story. What is the story you're telling yourself? What is that story? I'm not good enough. I'm really good. I really want to do this, but I haven't made a decision. You always know. All you have to do is follow your energy. When you're all in, you know, you don't have to force yourself to be all in. It is, I am doing this. I am in love with becoming the person I want to become. And everything I want it to be driven by your future self. Your identity is shaped by your future self. Right now in this present moment, you're creating your future self by the choices you made. You know, when Mykie said, you're going to be so glad you invested the time, you are impacting your future self just by being here. But imagine reshaping your future self by doing exactly what I tell you what it's going to do. And we've got to start creating this connection to your future self. Now, if a great thing to do is measure where you were 5 years ago. I know I'm not who I was 5 years ago. Imagine choosing all in and making that commitment, what you're going to do to your identity and how much your future self is going to be grateful for the experiences you're going to be experiencing. Success comes from being true to your future self. You can't say, I'm going to do big things and shrink. You just can't. You know, if you want to observe what you're most committed to, I want you to follow your behaviors. We've got to start creating one identity. Let me reframe that. I want you to create one impactful identity-based behavior at a time. Don't try to create 4 at a time, 1 at a time, and you're going to fuse with your future self. Now, your future self is totally different than the person you are today. it has a lot more confidence than you do. It feels so much more worthy. It has so much more life experience, and it has so much more courage. So understand, you're going into a self that is set up to win. Like when people tell me they're not ready, I don't buy it for a second. What they're telling me, I don't have the guts. I don't have the guts to really go after what I want. And you have to have guts. You have to put yourself in discomfort. And you want to get so obsessed with getting uncomfortable. It will change your identity literally overnight. I told you this yesterday. It is so easy to change identity by behaving your way into a new identity than thinking your way into a new identity. When you behave your way into a new identity, you take the action and automatically you have that visceral experience. And then you anchor that. Say, that made me feel really good. Because every time we get out of our comfort zone, we feel self-respect. We feel better about ourselves. Being separate from your future self leads to delusion. Most people only see themselves where they currently are. So what do? Year after year after year, they are always creating the same thing. Like whenever I coach clients, I'll ask them, what are their current results? I just want to know where their paradigm is formed, where their identity is. Because what is identity? It's the foundation of your paradigm. So we want to become one, and every decision and all our commitments are made from our future self. I'm telling you right now, your future self is your magic when you connect to it. Now, everything you do is an investment in your future self. Whatever you're doing today is an investment. Are you doing the disciplines? Are you doing the every 3 hours of installing the new belief? That is going to show you what you're creating in your future self. Look at the actions you took yesterday. What actions did I take? That is either impacting, or the actions I didn't take are going to take us more to our old self. Did I operate with swagger? Did I go in with acting as if, even before I was confident, I acted confident? Even before I went on that sales call, I already saw myself selling the client. How did I serve? Measure everything you're doing. You see whatever you're measuring. We want to measure and look at the qualities of our future self. What are the qualities? They have an all-in commitment. They are always taking action. They are constantly going to setback, and it never stops them. They're turning problems into solutions. See, start writing out the qualities of your future self. What are the qualities my future self would have? That future self is what is going to create your goal. That is what is going to achieve your goal. But remember, today's self-image creates my future results. So what I'm doing today and not doing is creating my future results. What you do every day is what makes the difference. If you do it once in a while, you're not going to see change. It's what we do every day, compounded over time, is what makes the big difference, and it's going to define how you see yourself. If you are shrinking, I promise you're going to see yourself small. If you're courageous, if you are choosing comfort, you're going to play small. If you're choosing courage over comfort, now you're going to start seeing what's going to show up. If you're choosing your passion, your love, watch how many doors start opening for you. Who is the person you really want to become? And I want you to answer this question without any influence of your past or present experiences. I want it to be where you're literally writing down and defining the person you want to become based on what you really want, not what you did at the end of last year, not what the best results you've ever created from. I want it to be based on how you really want to live. This changes the game. When I say changes the game, we're either playing an infinite game or we're playing a finite game. When we have a lack of all-in commitment in our future self, we're creating bondage. When we go all in, the how will show itself. But we've got to start taking ourselves more seriously. We've got to start really defining and reshaping ourselves, and the whole world will reshape itself around you. But the key is, the more clear and define the person you want to be is, the easier it is to become it. The sharper the picture in your mind, the more clear your focus is. And what we focus on expands or grows. And so the more focused you are on that person, it's going to be easy to define it in your outside world, what you're doing. Nope, that was the old me. I'm not going to do it. So we want these attributes of the person you want to be really clear, really defined. Now, confidence is going to start building because every time you're choosing from your future self, you start creating small wins, self-respect, and it's going to create confidence. Confidence is small wins. My elite clients, I always ask them to create a wins journal, but they judge their wins. I said, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. A win is a win because why I'm doing it, the more wins they see, the more wins they're going to see. I'm getting them to focus on winning. I'm getting them to focus on whatever they're doing, pivoting forward. And as they do that, they're going to choose a world-class life, not the old life. I want everything towards a world-class life. The world-class life is your future self. If one person can do it, you can do it. If one person can create wealth, you can create wealth. That is how the law works. So you've got to understand that. But the side effect is going to be extremely painful in the beginning. You're going to think you're nuts. People around you may think you're crazy. But understand, if they think you're crazy, you're going the right way. The side effect is pain. I think pain is so good. Even when I make I make an error, I make a mistake. I know I'm going to make mistakes because I'm going after something big. But I want to feel that pain because I never want to feel that way. So I want to learn from my mistakes. Because if I don't learn from them, it's not a mistake anymore. It becomes a choice. But understand, if you're feeling resistance right now, I promise you, you're in the process of a quantum leap. If you pivot forward, if you will literally feel that discomfort and do it anyway, that's when the game changes. Once again, that's when you're playing the infinite game. You're playing the game by your rules. This is your life. I want you to play it by your rules. Now let's take a look at this. This is you. And we can't talk about changing your identity without changing your attitude. If you've been following me for any amount of time, this is one of the greatest lessons I ever learned from my mentor. One day I was stuck and I called him and I said, I really need your help. I said, I'm really stuck. He said, well, why are you stuck? And I said, well, I'm letting the results control me. He said, you know better. And he said, that's a dumb idea. And he said, I'm going to tell you something that will change your life right now if you really get this. And I said, sure, what is it? He said, anybody can have a great attitude when things are going well. He said, the real pros in life have an even better attitude when things aren't going as well. He said, Arash, I want you to pay attention to what I'm telling you. I had to learn this from my mentor. My mentor learned it from his mentor. And if you get this, you're going to start living your life on your terms. I did a literally, you have these emotional impacts that are good. I've given you a couple today that I learned from, but I went for 2 years and all I did was study attitude. And I wanted to understand attitude so deeply. And as I did it, I stopped letting the outside control me. Did I master it? It probably took me 5 years to master not letting the outside control me, but I kept getting better and better and better and better. What used to control me for a few days turned into a day. What used to control me for a day turned into hours. What used to control me for an hour now takes moments. But let's understand what attitude is. None of this works without attitude. You have a power that's flowing through you, and you put out the thoughts. Whatever thoughts you accept, whatever you speak into existence is going out into the universe. And the universe is giving it to you just like a boomerang back to you, whatever your thoughts are. That's why I say all change starts by being linguistic first. What you're speaking is who you're becoming. And our thoughts go out into the universe. They come back to us. It turns into a feeling. We accept the thought with our imagination. It goes right inside of us into a feeling. We're literally planting that thought inside of us. It influences our conscious thinking. And it controls the vibration we're in. Those feelings go back out into the universe, and the universe, by the law of vibration, will bring it boomerang right back to us, and we're going to attract what's in harmony with the feeling. And the feeling turns into the body, creates the actions we take, create the results. Attitude is what creates our results. It's our thoughts, feelings, and our actions. Now, I want you to think of this. What are my dominating thoughts? Just yesterday, what were your dominating thoughts? That's what you put inside of you. What were the dominating feelings you had? That feeling is what you are planting inside of you, and you're either empowering yourself or infecting yourself with attitude. It's a 3-step process, and that's what attitude is. Now, you can learn. I always teach, when I teach attitude, I teach learning. What is learning? Learning is where we get intellectually involved with this idea. Like, I really want to work on my attitude. Then you get emotionally involved. You say, I'm going to have an amazing attitude. Then you step out and act from a positive mental attitude, and you'll know you learned because the change in result. That's how you know you learned it. You know you learned it because you made it part of your identity. And I can tell you, the very best thing you can make part of your identity is having a positive mental attitude. Your attitude is in everything you do. Look at the amount of money you have in your bank account. Attitude. If you're selling, attitude, how well you're doing, good or bad. This call has an attitude. Attitude is so contagious. A negative attitude is just as contagious. A positive attitude is where you're going to win. And when you develop a great attitude with yourself and create this enormous image of yourself, watch how much you're going to soar. I said you cannot attract what you subconsciously feel you don't deserve. You cannot do it without attitude. You want to have an amazing attitude of yourself. And you have the power in this moment to be the most optimistic person you know with the most amazing positive mental attitude. Now, a lot of people will confuse optimism with a positive mental attitude. They're not the same thing. Someone could be optimistic, but thinking lack and limitation. Someone could be optimistic is coming from taking, they're coming from a negative mental attitude. A positive mental attitude is accurate thinking. It's looking for the good in everything. It's learning from every experience. It's believing believing with an unwavering faith in your potential. Look for the good in everything. Everything has a good. Everything has a bad. If it's a little good, there's a little bad. And if it's really good, you will have to overcome a point where it might have been really bad. Like if you're really struggling right now, if you build your attitude up, it is going to be really good very soon. And so your attitude determines everything. Now, look, attitude is the key to unlocking your success. Take time and work on your attitude. Accept only ideas that are in harmony with your future self. That's an attitude. And develop a definiteness with attitude with firm convictions. This is what I'm doing no matter what. That's an attitude. You know somebody who's confident, you're not impressed with their confidence. You don't admire that. You admire their attitude. See, attitude is so impactful. And I want you to have a definiteness of who I am. I am an absolute superstar. I am creating a world-class life. I always pivot forward. These are all attitudes. Now, I want you to take the top off of your mind and create a limitless attitude of yourself. The only limit we have is the limit we have in our mind. The essence of who you are is growth and expansion. There's no limit to where you can take yourself. Build big dreams, have enormous goals, build an enormous picture of yourself. Watch how different your life is going to look. Now, the little difference between winning and losing is attitude. Every time you're in a negative attitude, I promise you, you're going to attract what you don't want in your life. Every time you're in a positive attitude, you're going to attract what's good in your life. I was talking to a client this morning, and he has an amazing dream, and he's going to achieve it. Where he thought all his problems were, I said, you're 3 feet from gold right now. I said, you just got to keep persisting. When we're going after something big, the world shows it to us in adversities right before we're going to see the good. When you're achieving a quantum leap, you're going to have plateaus and setbacks before the quantum leap shows itself. But understand, if you're focusing on problems, negative attitude, negative experience, negative expectation. Positive attitude, you're in control of. Nobody should have a better attitude than you. Understand that. Make that part of your standard, that nobody I walk into life with has a better attitude, because that's in my control. There's only a few things we control. We control our attitude, we control where we direct our energy, and we control our thinking. That's all we control. Don't try to control the uncontrollable. What's uncontrollable? The outside. Focus on controlling your processes. Get really good in your goal achieving processes. Get really good in building an enormous picture of that process. Get really good at your belief installation process. As you measure your processes, the outside happens by default. It happens every time. But your attitude will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Somebody with a great attitude, I promise you, they know that they know they're going to bring good because they're always looking for the good in everything. Now, you're going to have negative stuff happen at times. You're going to have adversity at times. Negative will happen. We have to learn how to do hard better. We must learn how to handle the negative. We don't let it control us. Right away, we shift to a positive mental attitude. Oh, this is interesting. What's the good in this? Here's a huge problem I have. Oh, let's focus on solutions right away. We have got to start shifting this within a millisecond. These words will help you get neutral. That's interesting. Being neutral is one of the most powerful attitudes you can have. It's not positive or negative. You're just not letting anything on the outside control you, and you see it for what it is, and you get to the truth. Now, these are the diseases of attitude. Let's take a look at this. Neglect, indifference, indecision. When you don't make a decision, negative attitude. Doubt, negative mental attitude. Worry, negative mental attitude. I'm going to play it safe. One of the worst attitudes you can have. You've got to be a player in your life. Somebody who's always looking at what's wrong, pessimism, negative attitude. Complaining, negative attitude. Eliminate these from your life. Do not allow these to control your mind. Now, success in building your identity is just getting 1% better. Now, let's look at the power of 5. Let's look if all you did for the next 30 days was work on making decisions from your future self just 1% better, how much your life is going to change. Let's look at your disciplines. Let's say for 30 days, you're going to get 1% better at your disciplines. Your identity will reshape itself. Let's say 1%, you're going to live your standard, non-negotiable. You draw the line in the sand. You're not screwing around. You're not settling for anything. Just by 1%, over 6 months, you're going to change your life. 1% you have fused with your future self every day for the next 30 days. Or 1% you are focusing on attitude like I did for 2 years. I will tell you, don't try to be 1% of all of them. Pick one and watch how your identity is going to change. Every day, your attitude is either going to be in abundance or scarcity. You're either accepting ideas from your future self or you're letting the outside world. You're going to go from your past self. I want you to choose abundance in your life. Get so damn good at building the attitude that I accept and reject ideas at my future self. It will change the game. If my future self says yes, I say yes. If my future self would say no, that's just your old programming, that's what created your old results, I say no to it. I keep using this philosophy over and over, and I'm going to use it one more time with you today. We have to have the attitude that I am willing to fail at my future self than succeed at my present self. You may be at a point where you say, I want to change my prices. I'm charging too little. And you may work with 10 clients, but you hold it and you say, I'm going to change my pricing from $5,000 to $10,000 per client. Well, you may only enroll 2 out of 10 clients, but you are reshaping your identity. You're going to change that 2 out of 10 with deliberate practice over and over again, and it's reshaping your identity. But what's going to be really easy, no, I'm going to still accept a lesser price. I'm going to still accept, even though that's just telling the world I don't value myself. I want you to be willing to fail at your future self for the short term. It's going to create the greatest long-term successes. Let me give you another great attitude to develop as part of your identity. Delayed gratification. Greatness comes from understanding I may not see the results short term, but by sticking to it, by being persistent with practicing my process, by holding the image, by holding the price of the person I want to become, you're going to start attracting it. Delayed gratification is going to create the greatest amount of success. I was working with a group yesterday, and I told them, I said, delayed gratification requires patience. And people will lose their dreams because they're impatient. They don't see the results. Oh, let me try something different. They never did it long enough. They didn't practice long enough their craft on who they wanted to become. Remember, deliberate practice is what creates massive quantum leaps. Deliberate practice is not your former self, it's your future self. It's not your habits, it's creating the new habits you want to create. Habits are always your current self. What pinnacle habit do I want to upgrade? That's how I want you to think. It is so important to mix these two together. Now, this is what I want you to practice deliberately. I don't just want you to practice this. I want you right now, I want everybody, before I start this slide, I want you to put your goal in your mind. Now, I want you to see exactly what you would see in your conscious mind if you already achieved this goal. You must train yourself to see the way you want to be. So you want to see yourself. Then I want you to connect the moods, and you must train your subconscious mind to feel like you are that person. How would I feel? I'd feel confident. I'd feel fulfilled. I'd feel emotionally free, and I want you to feel that way right now. And I want you to understand you're altering your vibration through the repetition of seeing what you want, feeling what you would feel had you already achieved it, and you have to continually impress it. Then your body is going to be in the vibration that is in harmony with your future self. But you do not give in to it. You do not give in to the results. You practice delayed gratification. You may have to see yourself, feel yourself 1,000 times before you're going to see it in your life. And when you do it, you're going to see the results. But understand, there's a period of time that must lapse before you see it physically. So we have to practice what Florence Scovel Shinn said about faith. It is, you already have it. Faith knows it has already. It already has it. But do you notice on this stick figure, there's no senses. You're detached from your senses. See, we want to get so good at detaching from our senses and disciplining our senses to see, feel, hear, taste, and touch. If you change your thinking on a conscious and subconscious level, you're going to change what the outside is. But this is done through what I just went over, deliberate practice. What identity-based behaviors would create the biggest results right now for your goal? Focus on who do I want to become? Who do I want to become? What is that one identity-based behavior that will bring every identity-based behavior up? And that's what I want you to think about. Now, becoming the best version of yourself requires you to constantly edit your belief and upgrade your image. This is a journey. The journey can be hard at times, but when you commit to the journey, that's when the greatest rewards are going to come. Better is where I want you to become obsessed with. That word better. We can always get better. We can always upgrade our belief. We can always upgrade our image. And remember, behaviors that are incongruent with the self, they won't last. Don't use will. It starts with will, then it creates the new image. Creating the new image is your foundation for success. It is the foundation of your paradigm. Let's start this again. Starts with a vision. I know exactly how I want to live. My vision determines the philosophies I create. The philosophies create my standard. My standard creates my story. I'm changing my story and reshaping it. I'm taking massive action. Make that part of your identity. Your story creates your identity. The identity creates your results. A permanent paradigm shift is an identity change. Burn this slide in your mind. If it is not an identity change, you have not changed. You are going to go back to what you were programmed from before. Improvements are only temporary until they become a part of who you are. You'll know because everything is heart-driven. You're in the spirit of it. When you get to the point where it's harder not to do than to do, that's how you know it's an identity shift. All right, I am going to turn it over to Monica DeMarin. Monica's had a massive identity shift since I met her. And I have had a massive identity shift since I've been doing this work. Identity, your best friend. I'm telling you, create an amazing identity. All right, Mon, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's so true. You know, when I first started, I want to make it clear what you see today is not who I was when I first started. Just to paint a picture, I had a terrible self-image. I was shy, I stuttered, I was over 65 pounds overweight. And when Arash was saying today, there's another version of you that's dying to come out. That's exactly what I felt when I first met him. I want to define confidence because I'm listening to Arash today. And so much of identity and attitude comes from this internal confidence. And confidence is the feeling of trusting in something. When I first heard Arash speak, I trusted. I built confidence because it resonated with my heart. And I said, this guy is going to help me. I know that. So when we're talking about building a new identity, it is the belief that you can trust in someone who's more aware of you and you are going to surrender and follow through. You feel deep inside of you that you have the ability to also have the good life. This is an attitude. So from this day forward, the best thing you can do is speak truth to yourself. Only speak from your goal, only speak from your new identity. When I met Arash, I had no idea how to accomplish my goal. When we're talking about a stretch goal, at that time, my stretch goal, I wanted to become #1 top performer that Arash has ever worked with. Now, this was a big idea because I did not come from this career background. I was in a service business. I was a hairstylist for over 18 years. So to transition into what I'm doing today required me to step way outside of my comfort zone. I had to develop a lot of new habits and certainly a brand new mindset, self-image, attitude. I had to really go deep within me and like sum up an enormous amount of courage. So 18 years of building one business. Think about that. Like I was conditioned one way for 18 years. Yes, I was booked solid in advance, 6 months in advance, but I was earning $24,000 a year. I was working really, really hard, standing for long hours. I was chasing my weekends only to do all over it again. And my income would not budge. So don't get me wrong. I loved helping my clients feel good about themselves, but something was not working back then. And the moment I heard Arash speak about mentorship, I knew that was freedom for me. So I went into the unknown and I took risks and I let courage and desire and passion become my obsessive behavior as part of my identity. So completely transforming your image, you want to listen to your heart. If I didn't take those chances back then, you know, I don't know where I would be. And I don't even want to go there. I'm so glad that I took those opportunities. I went into taking risks and betting on myself. Every day I dug deeper. I took one step at a time, one day at a time. So you're going to build more inspiration, more courage when you go into the unknown, regardless of the fear. And trust me, back then I had a lot of fear. I have a great relationship with fear today. And I had tears along the way back then, a lot of them. But now every fear and every tear that I shed is not based on fear or doubt. It's based on gratitude. Like I get teary-eyed because I'm so grateful that I had the mentorship. I had the direction. I followed through and I bet on myself. Even when I didn't have the income or the money to spend on myself, guess what? I found a way. You will always find a way to make it happen when your desire is so strong. So I could feel it in my heart. And what Arash was saying to me, and he's still to this day, you know, I feel it so deeply. I allow the process to take over. I want everyone this entire week, let the process take over. So you may be saying to yourself, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can do it. I want you to turn that language around. This is how you're going to build your identity. I want you to start demanding of yourself, this is where I'm going. I want you to be that definite. This is where I'm going. I want you to trust the feelings and speak the truth out loud to yourself. The more you do that, the next step will show up and the next step will show up. So take it one day at a time, take it one step at a time. And your identity and your attitude of yourself is the most important opinion that you're going to have of yourself. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you. It's what you think of you. Okay. So I turned working on me as my calling, my purpose. I worked on my behaviors, my attitude, my identity. I developed that dog, that inner dog. Nothing will get in my way. I want nothing to get in your way. I want you to be backed up with passion, desire, so strong. that you blaze your trail. You're going to have a strong mindset that you just go. That's what I want everyone to feel like. That's mental and emotional freedom. So in the pursuit of your goals, you may fail. Okay. It's going to happen. You're going to have adversity, but guess what? It's not going to stop you because you have your passion, you have your desire, you have your identity that's driving you. Your goal is driving you. So I know that I can speak to absolutely anybody and I can help them. I know Arash can help them. Our coaches can help them. They're all trained. The results of mental and emotional freedom is because we followed the exact directions that Arash gave us. So I want to go through today's exact process, the direction that you have to follow to really deepen today's lesson. But there was so much covered here. Number one, I want you to go back and repeat this lesson. Self-image identity is something that you're going to work on for the rest of your life. So we want to make this part of an automatic habit that you're working on every single day. So the first step today's exercises is number one, we want you to write out your identity in the present tense that you want to operate with. Okay, write out your new identity. And Arash said, not based on your past results, only write out your identity on who you want to become. What attributes, what character, what skills, what attitude towards yourself. Design it with passion. I want you to become passionate when you're writing this out. And the second thing is we want you to record this and commit to listening to it to 10 minutes every single day. This is my favorite thing I do of my day in the morning is listening to my auto suggestion. And the repetition is the work you're doing is building the new belief. You're repeating this new belief over and over again. So you want to burn this new identity into your subconscious mind. And remember, your subconscious mind has no idea what's real or imagined. You can put anything you want in it. We're already self-suggesting to ourselves all day long. We want you to consciously create this new identity and suggest this over and over and over again until you embody this, okay? And the more you focus on flooding your mind with this new person and who you want to be, you will start taking different action. So we are all here very passionate about self-image and attitude work because it's been the biggest game changer for all of us, but that's it for today. I'm going to hand it right back to Mykie so she can close us out.
Monica, thank you so much. This was such a powerful lesson. And I just want to reiterate exactly what Monica said right there, which is go back and watch the replay. Take advantage of having the replay of this and watch it over and over again, because this lesson can have such a huge impact on your life. Now you have a replay available from days 1, 2, and 3 so far. You'll also have days 4 and 5 through next Friday. In about an hour, you're going to receive an email from Zoom and you'll be able to watch the replay right here on Zoom sessions. If you're having trouble accessing the replay on Zoom, don't worry. You're also going to receive an email from us, hello@vosscoachinggo.com, and that will take you to a replay page on our website. We've taken the replay off of Zoom, put it on our website as well for those of you that might be having trouble accessing the replays through Zoom. So that'll be much easier for you all. So be on the lookout for 2 emails today. I also want to really encourage every single person listening to this to go ahead and schedule your call with one of our coaches. Our coaches are absolutely incredible. They know these concepts inside and out. They have been trained for years by Arash and Monica. They are fantastic and they can really help you see your blind spots, what gaps you may need to close, what concepts will be best for you to work on. And then if it's great for you to jump into mentorship, they will be able to help you with that as well. So go ahead, jump into your homework and also schedule a call with one of our coaches. We're going to be back here tomorrow. Same place, same time. Now, I told you all that today was my favorite lesson of the week, but tomorrow is probably the most important lesson of the week. So if there's any lesson this entire week that you're going to attend live and be in the energy of the live event, tomorrow is the day. If you have something already scheduled at 12 p.m. Eastern, if at all possible, move it so that you can be here live with us. Tomorrow's session is going to be so important and so good. It's going to take things to the next level for you. And the entire week will start coming together tomorrow. So we'll see you all live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern right here on Zoom. Thanks for joining us, and be on the lookout in your inbox for a replay email, 2 of them, one from Zoom, one from us, in the next hour or so. All right, thanks everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.